Hi, Internet people, and welcome to the penultimate AHS recap for this season. So, I did not realize this. I don't know. I didn't look it up, and I didn't know. There are only 10 episodes of AHS Roanoke. No idea. We have currently seen 9. Episode 10 is next week. This season has been so... I have really liked this season, but it's also been kind of weird because normally there are breaks between some of the episodes during a regular showing of AHS, at least every season that I've seen on, like, live TV. And this is the shortest one because they're normally at least, like, 13 episodes. So not only is this shorter, but it's also run continuously for... It'll run continuously for 10 weeks, which is really interesting. So, okay, this episode, they've all picked up right where they've left off. This episode, we find out that the pig-headed man who showed up at the door is not who I thought it was. I thought it was Dennis O'Hare. I was really hoping, because I wanted to see him. It was actually Wes Bentley who said he was hired by Sydney to show up in the pig mask and to film everything, and he takes everything off. He actually says that he's going to help Audrey. I know her name now, mostly because there are so many people who are dead and there's fewer names for me to remember. He's going to help Audrey and Lee get the tapes from the Polks. He apparently was on SEAL Team 10. That's what he says. So they're going to get the tapes. While that's happening, a trio of American Horror Story Roanoke fans, who's my Roanoke Nightmare fans, sorry, they're there investigating, and Taissa Farmiga is back. I was really excited, and it threw me off because she kept talking about season 1 of my Roanoke Nightmare, and I was like, what? Oh, you're not talking about your season 1, got it. They're there investigating. They don't know it's the blood moon though, or if they do, they're not thinking it's gonna influence anything at all. They are wandering through the woods, talking about the show a little bit, so we get an idea of, like, the fandom. And then all of a sudden, the woman who worked for Sydney, who got into that car accident, she's, like, stumbling through the woods, and you're like, oh my gosh, has she been alive the whole time? No. Apparently, blood moon means the ghosts can wander around whenever they want, whatever time of day they want. We've only seen ghosts, like, at night, and suddenly ghosts can walk during the day, but this freaks out all of the people because, the group of fans, they go after her and find the car, and then they put their, like, they have a bunch of cameras, and they, like, put one of the cameras inside the car, and her dead body is totally in there. And they're like, ah! So they call the cops. They're being interrogated by the cops, and they're, like, secretly recording. And the cops are like, there was no body, we don't know what you're talking about, like, you need to go home. And, of course, they don't listen and head back, because the cops let them go, and, like, they can't force them to go to Virginia, which is where they say they're from. Back at the house, the plan is to go get the tapes and get Monet safe from the Polks. So, initially, they are all together, and then Lee and Audrey split off, which is terrible for Wes Bentley's character, which I knew it was going to be. Yeah, he totally dies. Just FYI. Lee and Audrey get inside, they're looking for everything, they finally find the tape, but in the process, while they're, like, getting Monet, the Polks come back, Audrey manages to kill one of them, but then they get separated again, so Monet and Audrey get away, but they have the camera. Lee winds up away from them and, like, in the woods, and then, while Audrey and Monet are hiding, they wind up watching the tape that reveals that Lee actually killed her ex-husband. They're like, oh, she's actually a murderer, what? Then, while this is happening, the Polk brothers freak out because Mama is dead, which means the colonists will kill them, so that's fun for them. Then, the fans of the show, they are there, and, like, they get attacked, and one of them dies, and then, I know her name was Sophie, and I should remember the other guy's name, but I'm totally blanking. The 2 surviving people, they manage to get into the, like, production trailer, and they're like, oh, ah, but they can see what's going on. So they find out that Lee has been separated, and then we see Lee, like, biting into a heart, which means that she's been witch-blessed or whatever, so she's magic witchness, she's the new butcher. And they see her coming toward the house, And Sophie, Taissa Farmiga's character, she wants to save Audrey and Monet. And yeah, she totally does that. We have to save Lee and Shelby. And the guy's like, they're not Lee and Shelby. Like, they're not. And she's like, whatever. Because that was totally what I was doing this whole time, where I was like, their names are not Lee. I don't know. That's why I couldn't remember their names. They had 2 names. But she wants to go save them. So they start running toward the house. I think his name was Todd. Anyway, he wants to try and stop her, but they're running and the colonists are coming. And they get attacked. And it's awful. And they get set on fire. And then, yeah, that happens. They get bonfired. It's terrible. Lee has gotten into the house. And she's all, like, trancy and talking like the butcher. She has a cleaver. She goes in. She finds Monet and Audrey, and they're like, you're totally a killer. We know. Monet super confronts her. She shoves her down a flight of stairs. Totally kills her. Like, she falls off the balcony and gets, like, staked, basically. It looks like a steak. I know it's impaled, but it totally looked like a steak. And she was just a vampire in a hotel. Then Audrey runs. Lee gets her, Lee winds up cleaving Audrey's shoulder, kind of like Shelby was cleaved earlier, while she's on the stairs into that cellar thing, and then she shoves her into the cellar, and she was totally still breathing, so like the whole time I was like, she's breathing, she's breathing, she's breathing, she's breathing, like I was really hoping, I was like, she's alive, she's alive, she's alive. Then it looks like everybody except Lee and Audrey are dead at this point. Well, Lee isn't dead. We don't know what's going on with Audrey. Then it's morning, and the cops arrive, and they find all the dead bodies everywhere, and they're, like, calling it in. They're freaking out. They find Lee first, and Lee is, like, out of it. She's, like, screaming and telling them to get her out of there, and I think she knows what happened the night before, but it's, like, a hazy sort of, like, possession thing, where, like, you know what happened, but you weren't really aware. I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Then they're like about to leave, and suddenly they're like, we found another one, and they find Audrey, who's like gotten out of the cellar, and then the cop's like helping her forward, and then as she sees Lee, she grabs the cop's gun, which, okay, his gun should be more secure, just saying, but she manages to get it. She goes to shoot Lee, because she knows that Lee is, I mean, not only did Lee just kill some people while possessed by the butcher, she actually knows that Lee killed someone, and they have it on tape. She raises the gun at Lee, and before she can do anything, she gets shot down super quick by all the cops. Just a hardcore, fast shootout, done. And then, that's it. That's the end of the episode. So Lee's the only survivor, but in the preview for the finale, we see that Lee is now on trial, and she's totally on trial in the same courtroom from the people v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. Is it American Crime Story? American Crime? I'm saying American Crime Story because it's American Horror Story, and I'm just saying it. So technically these things are related. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Sarah Paulson were in both of them. But seriously, it's totally the same set. It is. It is the same set. But she's on trial now, which makes sense because they have a taped confession of her saying she killed her ex-husband. And then Lana Winters from Asylum is interviewing her, and I'm just so, I don't know what's gonna happen with that, because Lana Winters, so I understand why Sarah Paulson had to die as her one character, because Lana Winters, so technically Sarah Paulson is playing 3 characters in this show. She was reenactment Shelby, the actress who played Shelby, and now Lana Winters from Asylum. So connected. Connections are happening. I don't even know. I don't know how it's gonna go. Are there going to be more reenactments? Are people going to come back for the reenactments? Are ghosts going to show up? Is Lana Winters going to meet a ghost? What is going to happen? I can't even. I did say that I was hoping Lee would make it to the end, didn't I? I feel like Lee was one of my, like, projected people. By today's episode, I literally could not figure out who was going to survive, and then the possession thing happened, and I was like, is she going to become a ghost now? What happens when you get possessed in this show? I don't know. It's crazy. This season, I've really liked this season, and even though I'm typically not a fan of found footage movies, like, I'm not, I get really distracted by the shakiness of the camera and, like, not being able to see the picture. I was actually okay with the found footage, like this episode was specifically very found footage, and I feel like it was a nod to Blair Witch because they had already shown the things that kind of look like the Blair Witch stick mabobs, and then they had the 3 fans who show up in the woods who have a bunch of cameras, so it was going to get very Blair Witch because they had like camera helmets. So the fact that it even got more Blair Witch, like they were using like a phone camera again. So I feel like the found footage element got like more intensive, and then at this episode it was like all crazy found footage because even at the end they flash like a thing because you forget that you're watching what is technically an edited and put together television show. That, because the premise is that this is a television show that was then aired on TV. Yeah, see? I like completely forgot about that fact again. And then they flashed the thing that was like, this is found footage from the iCloud. And I was like, oh my god, oh yeah. Which was really cool. I appreciated that. But this season has been crazy. I really like this season because it's like, it's something new, it's something a little more inventive. I'm now wondering if because this season is 10 episodes, if the 2017 season is starting earlier than normal, or if maybe it's because of the O.J. Simpson show he was working on that Ryan Murphy just like limited the work on this one, so he made like a shorter season so he could spend time working on both. I'm honestly not sure. I was trying to figure that out, and I don't know. I'm very curious to see what well, we've already talked. We already know it's a Coven and Murder House like crossover thing, which is going to hopefully be very awesome and means that I do actually need to rewatch Coven. I know, I'm a terrible person because I was gonna rewatch Coven, and then I started rewatching Murder House because I wanted to watch the Murder House Halloween special, so that happened. Okay, well, that is my recap. I am very intrigued to see what happens in the finale. I will see you next week for my final American Horror Story recap of season 6. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at Kleffnotes, on my blog, kleffnotes.wordpress.com, or for the Nerdy Girl Express, thenerdygirlexpress.com, or on their Snapchat, the Nerdy Girl EXP, and I post recipes on the iZombies Pork Group site, iZombiesPorkGroup.com. Bye, Internet people.